to this episode of Feel Good Fridays with Kneecap. Our goal of Feel Good Fridays is to highlight area nonprofits and all the good work they're doing in the community, especially through this pandemic. My name is Shauna Lynn Brandmeier. I am the board chair for Kneecap, and welcome to this version. Today we are highlighting the Nashville Ballet and the Nashville Nutcracker coming up at TPAC. Last December, the Nashville Ballet was one of the first organizations to join us for our Feel Good Fridays, so we are honored to have them back in December again this year. A little bit about the ballet. Since its founding in 1986, the Nashville Ballet has grown to become one of the largest professional ballet companies in Tennessee, presenting a varied repertoire of classical ballet and contemporary work. In addition to the School of Nashville Ballet provides exemplary dance education for children, youth, and adults at every experience level. If you want more information about the Nashville Ballet and their upcoming events and their school, you can find it on their website at www.nashvilleballet.com. Today, we are joined by Jamie and Garrett, who are taking a break from their rehearsal at TPAC for the Nashville Nutcracker. We are glad to have both of you join us today for Feel Good Fridays with Kneecap. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Hey, Jamie and Garrett, Cameron here at the Kneecap studio. We're really excited to have you here. We're doing this remotely. I understand you guys are over at TPAC today. Shauna Lynn's at home, and we're doing this all from different spots right here in Nashville. But we're super excited to hear about the show and just all the different things that are going on. I'm sure that you're super busy this week, so we're glad to have you. But let me ask you this, just kind of the roles that you're playing there, and give me a little bit of history, like on how long have you been, at this and, and working towards the goal of getting this play done.
I'm Jamie. I've been here this is my fourth season. This year I'm doing the Sugar Plum and the Snow Queen. But I can name you all the roles I've done in the past. I've been the Court of Ballet Snow. I've been a party mother. I've been the grandmother. I've been the doll. I've been the Dewdrop Fairy, Spanish. I've been Swiss, and Snow Queen and Sugar Plum. So I've got a lot of roles.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's it's so cool because we were talking before we went on air, how this has just become a tradition here in Nashville and all over the world. I mean, everyone knows the Nutcracker. It's like, I feel like you just kind of grow up with it. But it's really kind of neat to see someone who has been in this a couple different ways and been able to explore it, But, tell me about your side of it. How long have you been doing this?
I'm Garrett. I have been doing the Nutcracker for way too long. Couldn't even tell you. It actually was my first ballet that I ever did. It's the reason I changed from hip hop and tap shoes into ballet shoes. But this is my first year with this company. So being in Nashville, this will be my first season doing their Nutcracker. And I'm super excited because I'm going to be doing roles like Russian lead and Chinese lead for the first time with a main company. So I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, so if you both, as dancers, have grown up with the Nutcracker in a different way. Nashvillians are used to the Nashville Ballet's Nutcracker. It's unique to us. What is your favorite role? That I will say Sugar Plum's my favorite. I love that. I wait for the whole show for that one. But what's your favorite, if you have one? Or do you like them all?
Like Garrett, like most ballet dancers, I grew up doing the Nutcracker since I was, I think, 5. And I've done pretty much every single role you could think of in various Nutcrackers. But a big pivotal role for me as a girl was doing Clara when I was 15 in my hometown. That was, my first time being kind of showcased in a story ballet. So that's always kind of special to me.
For me, I personally like the fact that the Nutcracker tells such a grand story that can draw in so many different types of friends and family for us as dancers, because it can be hard when we're doing different types of classical and contemporary works that are not as popular than the Nutcracker. So for me, I really get drawn to the characters more than some of the dancing roles that us as dancers get desires to do as we continue to grow up. I love the Rat King or the Mouse King. He's one of my favorites just because of how silly he can be and how great he can make the battle scene.
He's really good at it.
I was about to say, there's got to be there's a playfulness to the Nutcracker. So even the Rat King, that would be a fun role to play in some of your other pieces that are more contemporary and serious. This one has a playful element to it as well. So Jamie, you mentioned that you've done the Nashville Ballet version of Nutcracker for a few years. Last year, of course, it was televised. And so you didn't have that audience. How is that going to feel to go back to live performance?
It's so nice to just go out there and know that you're just gonna give it your all and that's it, like live, being live on stage, live theater. It was hard in the filming process because we had to repeat it so many times. It was hard to give it your all every time, like it was the show, and you never knew which cut was gonna be, taken. Because with ballet, you give 100% of yourself 100% of the time for whatever time you have on stage. You're not really holding back. This is it, this is tonight's show and tomorrow will be another day. So yeah, I think we're all really excited to have that element of our craft back.
Yeah,
We work so hard for you guys, for your applause. You know what I'm saying? It's so worth it to hear the claps, to hear the praise and everything like that.
I would imagine that is just huge. We have that conversation over here at NECAT a lot about one of the things we were able to do with film and television is get it perfect because we could do cuts over and over and over again, but we don't get that feedback immediately from a live audience. And that's one of those things that is, I feel like you could almost get drunk on that, just the clapping and the laughing and all of those things. So I can't imagine doing this for TV if you're used to doing it on stage over and over again. So that seems like such a, I would imagine it's just a relief for you guys. Pretty much, yeah. So
Yeah.
It feels right. It feels like what we've been trained to do our whole lives. Film, I think, was something kind of foreign to a lot of us.
The reward, most definitely.
for sure. Well, and
Almost like a coming home moment. You feel like you're coming back to what you're used to in the interaction with the audience, and that coming home moment of this is what we're used to, and this is what we want to do. But also maybe a little bit of butterflies since you haven't been on a stage, quote unquote, with an audience for a little bit. Tell us a little bit about how you prepare for that, to go back to it.
Well, we get prepared pretty well here. We're in the theater. We've been in the theater this week, and we don't start till next week. So this year we got extra stage time to rehearse. So I think the butterflies won't be too bad because we'll have plenty of practice on stage, lights. So I think it's been a nice way for us to transition back.
For sure. And like we talked about before, the Nutcracker is just, it's iconic. I feel like at this point, if you grew up in this part of the world, you've seen some version of it. I remember being a little kid. I grew up in Dallas, and we used to have it there. And the old Dallas Times Herald printed a Spider-Man comic book where Spider-Man went to, the Nutcracker. And it's like, so it permeates all of these different mediums. There's TV versions of it. There's film versions of it. They've been making it for going on 100 years, at this point in some form or fashion. How does that feel to be part of that tradition? I mean, the overwhelming sense of what it is, and also, do you feel a responsibility to the audience that shows up year after year to see it because they know it? How do you change it a little bit to make it your own?
Well, luckily it's been changing a lot for us because we keep getting different parts. So we get to keep it fresh for ourselves. But definitely, I mean, it can feel a little bit routine, like, oh, it's December, it's going to be Nutcracker like we do every year. But it's actually very challenging. Stamina and physically, it's very challenging, especially this version. So it always feels like a challenge. It never feels easy or through. It's always a push. So I think that kind of, just the challenge alone keeps you present in the moment, and you're always trying to, as dancers, we're always trying to be our best we can possibly be and give the audience the most we can possibly give. So just like any performance, I think you feel that responsibility no matter what it is. So
Right. Like once you have like your role and your choreography that you've learned and everything like that, then there's so much more that you can build on as an artist to like make that your own and also portray that character then to the audience to give them that show that you want them to have. And like she said, it's kind of a ritual like for dancers or like a rite of passage to do the Nutcracker as like a seasonal thing. So you get excited as the season comes because you're like, what am I going to be doing this season? What am I going to be doing this time around? And then you get ready for theater time and it's like, all right, do I have my bag packed? Like, how are we going to do the layout of rehearsals this time around? So I think that as much as it's like to a T and to keep tradition, there's definitely so much growth that happens all the time in and around it constantly.
Yeah. Can I ask too on this? I mean, like you guys are working right now. It's like you took a break to be with us, but you're working all the way up until Christmas. How are you guys celebrating amongst the cast? I mean, like, do you have time in between to like kind of say, hey, we're in the middle of the season where we're supposed to be just thinking of joy and Thanksgiving? How do you like balance that for yourself?
This is the busiest time of year.
Yeah.
It's very busy. There's not much time for anything. And then the moment the last show hits, everyone's flying home to their families, or it's like, we gotta get through.
Yeah.
It's a marathon. It really is.
Yeah.
It's definitely, we're a smaller company. Everyone's working their butt off. Every single person, whether you're doing the character roles or dancing roles, everyone's doing every role.
Mm-hmm.
There's no dancer that's not doing character role, not doing a dancing role. Everyone's doing everything. People, knock on wood, get sick or injured, and people are working even extra, like the show must go on. So I think we celebrate by just kind of being together. It's kind of a bonding experience as dancers. You're exhausted, there's the highs and the lows of being on stage, or, being upset with your performance, or like thinking that was the best performance you ever did. And you're in the theater all day long. So we're kind of always, it's fun. It's fun working hard, like the blood, sweat, and tears kind of thing of being with your coworkers. I think is kind of its own celebration in itself.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's like the giving and the getting of like good vibes the whole entire time. It's kind of like how you have to think about it. Really, like for me, because my family lives so far away, they're in New Jersey. So like Christmas Eve, like she said, like it's gonna hit and we're all gonna disperse. I know personally, like Christmas Eve, my family like really celebrates Christmas Day, so I'm gonna try to like make it for the end of that. So I'm gonna be driving 12 hours like as soon as we finish the show. Like throw my dog, throw my bags in the car, and like get going to New Jersey. So we really like push until we get that break. But like since there's people like myself who don't have family in the area, we can gather and like come together for days like Thanksgiving, and then it turns into Friendsgiving and all that stuff. I ended up carving a turkey for the first time this year. Ask my family, that's not a character trait you thought Garrett was gonna have. But you know what? Here we are, okay?
It's the year for new things, right? So you finish one marathon of the Nutcracker, and then you have a marathon drive afterwards. That's amazing. When do you start practicing for the Nutcracker? Like, when do your rehearsals and prep work for all that begin? I know you're almost there. I mean, it's next week. So when do you start this process? Is it in the middle of the summer, or is it more once fall comes in, or kind of tell us that timing?
About a month before the shows we start.
It's a big production. There are a lot of people in it. So it looks like there's a lot of coordination and teamwork that goes into putting on something like this.
I mean, one good thing though is that we do it every year. So the only thing that's new is bringing in new company dancers and maybe some new staff. But hopefully the majority of the people here have done it or know what's happening. So there's that.
You've got some old pros that remember, right?
Yeah. basically.
Well,
I think speaking from like personally like new experience, like I would say like it's just because of like how we push as dancers to like produce shows. So we were working up for like one show that we were gonna be performing, and then like you can only be doing so much as dancers because our bodies are our instruments at a time that like we would have broken before we even got to Nutcracker had we not started it when we did and then like got down to it, you know? So, and it is nice to have seasoned veterans that like can be like, no, you need to be here on the 5, 6, 7, 8, you know? But absolutely, absolutely.
well, I think it's
Yeah,
interesting.
Garrett, do they point out, like, for the first performance, the first practice, do they go, move over that way a little bit?
Well,
Do they kind of help
markers.
you when you're, yeah, the markers, they go,
Yeah,
that's your marker over there for your first one.
100%.
Everything's set. There's choreography, everything's set, and it's just adding, teaching the new people, refreshing the old people, and then getting the stamina back, and then adding the artistry on top of that.
I think that's interesting. Can you, with you being in year 4 of this and you being in your first year of it, can you talk to me a little bit about what makes this Nashville production special? Like, what's specific about the Nashville version that people across the country may not be getting?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that every single Nutcracker, like you said, is different and has different things to offer. I think something really cool about this Nutcracker that I started getting to see is like some of the sets and some of the scenery, the way that scene transitions go. I love all the magic behind the Nutcracker. So, all of Drosselmeyer's tricks and party scene and stuff like that. Any little, tear away of a curtain or tiny trick. I don't know, you'll have to come see it. You know what I'm saying? I can't give away all the good stuff, you gotta come see it.
You don't want to give it all away.
Right.
Is that it is set in Nashville. So the flowers is set to the Parthenon. So there's set as the Parthenon, and it like Dewdrop has kind of like a Grecian kind of costume. Party scene has all the characters, prominent Nashville characters. It's not so in your face. It's a bit subtle, but we're all told like who we're supposed to play, and what else?
Like it starts in Centennial Park.
Well,
it Isn't that what it is?
It starts with the World Fair of 18.
Sorry, I'm new here. See, this is why you can't be asking questions. Like 1897
or something like that. It's on the set. I can remember, but it's Claire at the World Fair, so she's meeting Chinese, Spanish, all the people from all over the world coming to Nashville, and then that's how our director Paul brought in the concept of, because obviously everyone knows in Nutcracker we have the Chinese and the Swiss and Spanish, all the different cultures. So he tied in the World Fair into the diverts, what we call them. So he made the storyline. It applies to our community, which is kind of like make it a little different.
Which is a very unique way to tie in Nashville and unique to our community. And I think it actually draws people there every year because we feel like we own this Nutcracker. This is Nashville's version of the Nutcracker, and it's very personal. I've seen it a couple of times, and it's beautiful every time I see it. I've always wondered, there's usually one show where children come, and is that do you get a different vibe even up on stage when there are a lot of children in the audience? It's one thing to see it as an adult and love it, but the children just have a different feeling and a different emotion to it. Do you get that sense when you're up on stage of children in the audience and their reactions to things? Can you see all of those reactions?
Oh, we can hear them.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like hearing it. I joke all the time. One of my like big sayings before going out on stage is like, we do it for the kids. Like that's for the kids. It's about to be for the kids. Because really, like, it can be a joke, but it is for the kids. And at the end of the day, I was one of those kids once who it was for, and that's why I do it for kids, because like it's the next generation. It's what ballet is going to transition into. Someone in the audience right there can be that person that's about to be the next choreographer, the next big something. And you can translate that through your dance, and you can give that gift to someone else of realizing that this is something that they might want to do or pursue. And I really like that idea.
Also, I think as dancers, we're super crazy perfectionists, and we always doubt ourselves and think we can be better, we're not good enough because we're trying to attain perfection. That is impossible to attain. So I think when a little girl's just like, oh, I love the pretty girl in the tutu, the sugar, just something that's simple, and you're like, I'm doing good enough, She loves it, and that's great, and I'm making this little girl smile, and no matter how I feel at the moment, I'm bringing joy to someone, and that is, so satisfying.
I love that. And, Charlene asked a little bit before, talking about the pandemic and coming back from all of that, but can you talk a little bit about the feeling, but what are some of the things that you're doing, there just to make sure that you're safe and the audience is safe, and for the first time you're getting back in a room together? Does it feel different than it did 2 years ago whenever you were able to perform it?
Well, we managed to work through a lot of the pandemic. Luckily, we were lucky with masks in different studios. We had we were zooming into different rehearsals because we have a nice building that has several studios. So we were in pods, and we had one rehearsal director in one room zooming in to all the other rooms. It was kind of crazy, but we were lucky that we still got to have human contact and work on our technique and our craft, and not completely, it's so hard. We take class every single day to keep up the way we are. We dance every day. So to suddenly have 5 months off where we can't dance, we were dancing in our living rooms and in our kitchens where there was tile. So it was hard. It was really hard. And then when we were finally allowed to be all back together in masks, it was such a great thing to just all be together, even if we were wearing masks. But I think the biggest thing was just to keep dancing no matter what, which the motivation was hard, but we're finally back in action.
Yeah. And even though you still see us right now, without our masks, they're right here. We wear them still for rehearsal and everything.
Yeah.
We've been wearing them all the way through all of our Nutcracker rehearsals and continue on stage until it's time for you guys to come, and then we'll whip them right off and have the big smiles for you.
Yeah. I love that so much. I think it's been a weird year and a half at this point, and I think that it's great, even if you can't see the faces and see the smiles behind the mask still, you can hear the laughter, and you can, I think, feel the joy. I think there's a certain amount of just being in a room again. There's an energy that comes with that. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see it and just be able to be a part of, just witnessing it again. And I don't know, it just feels good to be back together.
I agree. I think the arts really pulled us through the pandemic. I think the arts and music and creativity is what got us through it, and I think people will appreciate it more when they see it live now. So that opening night, I hope it's absolutely wonderful for both of you, just to see the crowd and be out there, and it's going to be a great moment. And so I'm glad that you are all able to do it, and Nashville as a community is able to see it again. It's an iconic performance. I know a lot of people that is paramount to their holiday celebrations. So just know that you are all part of people's holiday celebrations and everything that they look forward to. So it's really great that it's back. And I hope you all know that. I bet you do. But I say it for the record and for our video of just, I know that it is beloved by Nashvillians.
Yeah, and so we've got just a couple minutes left here on Feel Good Friday. One of the things that I like to do when we end every show is just talk to people about one thing that they're feeling good about. It doesn't necessarily even have to be about the thing we've been talking about, but we just try to take it as a moment of reflection and think about the good things that are in our lives. So I'm going to ask everybody, just kind of go around the horn and tell me one thing that's making you feel good on this Friday afternoon.
My pet. I have an Australian Shepherd and 2 cats, and I love my animals. They make me happy and make me feel good, and they're the best things.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with her. I love my Mr. Maximus. I have an 11-year-old Labrador Retriever, and he's a big 80-pound-year-old fluff. But something else that makes me feel good on a Friday is just a good snack. You know,
Yeah.
like I definitely would have to say, like, you know, it depends on the person or the mood of day. You know, like might be a breakfast snack, but maybe like some chips and guac. You know, that makes me feel good
Absolutely.
on a Friday. You know,
Yeah. I love that. Shauna Lynn, how about you?
He's going for the protein. He's going for the protein in that snack. I like it. I would say for me, this holiday season, it was so great to be around my family again. They're very important, but just after a year and a half of everything that we've been through, to be in a room with them. So I'm grateful that we were able to do that for Thanksgiving. I'm looking forward to Christmas. Christmas is one of my favorite holidays. So I'm looking forward to spending it with my family, especially after last year where we couldn't be in a room with each other. So I'm going to be grateful for that. How about you, Cameron?
Yeah, I'll echo that. I'm really looking forward to just the holidays always seem to be such a rush all the time for just things that we're doing here at the studio and just getting ready for Christmas and shopping and doing all that other stuff. But there's this moment on Christmas Day that kind of pops up where everything just kind of slows down for a little bit, and you're kind of at the end of unwrapping the presents and eating, you know, the turkeys and all of the other fun stuff that you do, and like everything just kind of stops for a minute, and you just kind of like get to look back at the whole of this last year. And I gotta say that, like, I feel like looking back on this one, it's gonna feel a lot better than looking back on the last one. And I think anytime we're moving forward in that, you know, we're winning. And so I'm excited for that more than anything else. So that's, you know, that's me. So, you know, I think we would be remiss if we didn't, you know, plug the show one last time before we get out of here. But the Nashville's Nutcracker is currently showing at the Tennessee Performing Arts Center until December 24th. Tickets and more information are online at tpac.org and NashvilleBallet.com. And where can they find you if they want to find you on the web?
Under dancers, right? That's us.
Do you guys do like Instagram or TikTok or any of that fun stuff?
Oh, yes. Instagram, you can find me at Garrett McCabe. Garrett is with an I and 2 T's. So that tricks you up sometimes.
Mine's J Kopit, K-O-P-I-T. J Kopit, K-O-P-I-T.
I love it. And you can find us on the web just about everywhere at NECAT Network. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of the places where you can find things on social media. Shauna Lynn, you got any last words?
Just say thank you. Thank you for joining us. Good luck in rehearsal. And all the best in the performance of the Nutcracker. And it's so great that you're going to be back at TPAC. So enjoy it. Have a great time. I'll be looking for the Sugar Plum Fairy and the Rat King in this performance. So now that I've met you in person. So great to meet you both, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Bye.
Yeah, and again, from NECAT Studios, I'm Karen McCassin with Shauna Lynn Brandmeier and our guest from the Nashville Ballet. We'll see you next time on Feel Good Friday. Good night. And we're out.